Right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the fifth webinar in the This Is AI series, brought to you with the wonderful team at ANZ. Hopefully you can all hear me and see me well. I'm looking forward to seeing who's online today and who's joining us. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to get in and get started. So jump into the chat, give us a shout out, tell us where you are around New Zealand, and give your business a shout out as well. Let us know where you're working in the chat. Marius from Gisborne. Wow, hope you're all managing through the last few weeks' weather as well. It has been fairly wild around the place. G'day, Morris from Whakatane. Anthony, nice to see you here again. Right. G'day, Nikki. Nikki from BCITO. Kia ora. All right, we've got a fantastic hour together this morning. This is the fifth in a series of 6 webinars that we are delivering with ANZ. It's been great to have their support, and it's fantastic to have all of you joining us for today's session. We are focusing today on AI agents, what they are, what they can do, and we will demonstrate how to use them and build them with some practical examples. The session, as they all are being recorded. So you will be able to jump back in to the event listing page to be able to see and share the recording, to watch it on demand, share it with your colleagues who couldn't make it today as well. It'll always be there, so you can always come back and reference it, right? So as you will know, my name's Justin Flitter. I'm the founder of New Zealand.ai. We started in 2017, and today we spend all of our time and focus helping New Zealand businesses discover why, where, and how to be leveraging artificial intelligence. You are all here in our AI Academy, where you'll find free and paid webinars and workshops and tools and resources that you can leverage anytime to build your AI skills, to help you discover, to learn practical skills, and those sorts of things. So this series, 6 fortnightly webinars, we started off with an introduction. We went through the AI for Business playbook. We've talked about basic automation. A fortnight ago, we focused on sales and marketing use cases. Today, we are all about agents. And then in a fortnight's time, we are going to bring 3 or 4 companies to the session to talk about their use cases, to talk about their AI journey. So you can hear from them how AI is impacting their business, the benefits they're getting out of it, perhaps some of the challenges that they've had to overcome along the way as well. I think it's always good to kind of hear how other people are doing these things. So we're going to conclude that in a fortnight's time on the 12th of November. So please come back and join us for that session as well. All right, g'day Ben Walker from sunny Dunedin. Well, when it's not snowing. Yes, nice to see you here. Ben Walker does a lot of work and support for us and the clients, doing co-pilot training and that sort of thing as well. Right, let's get into it. Oh yes, first of all, if you want to find where all the previous episodes are, you can jump into the Academy, learn.newzealand.ai. You can go down to the space that we've got for this series, and where you've got the upcoming, you can just select that to get to all the past events where they are. All the recordings are all there, free and on demand for you. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover what AI agents are and how they work, how to identify the tasks that are good to delegate to AI agents. We're going to take a look at some of the common agent builder platforms that you might want to go and experiment with and play around with. We'll talk about the best ways to create and deploy agents across your business, as I'm also a director on with Business Mentors. And so we'll run through an overview of the AI agent workflow that we've developed and are in the process of rolling out to mentors and mentees. Then I'm going to jump into two platforms. We're just going to cover off a few examples of agents in Copilot for M365, and we'll cover off a couple of agents in AutoHive as well. So AutoHive is made in Wellington and is a pretty useful platform. So we'll show you a little bit more about that as we get in as well. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, right? I'm listening. It's right here. I can see all your messages. And so if you've got any questions as we're covering the content today, feel free to drop them in there, and I'll try and get to them as we're going through, or we'll come back to them at the end of the session as well, right? So this is for you. So what are agents? Agents are programs, systems that understand goals, they make decisions, they use tools, and take action on their own to complete tasks. So generally, these systems will be giving them a process. We'll be giving them the data that's required to complete that process, and we'll be giving them the skills that they need to give them the scope to complete those actions, right? So we'll unpack this kind of as we go, but effectively they are systems that can make decisions, that can reason through problems to complete actions on their own. Traditional automations need every step mapped out in advance. And so that's kind of a key differentiation here, right? So when we think about custom GPTs, more often than not, custom GPTs wouldn't be classed as an agent, right? Because as smart assistants, they wait for an instruction to be run, right? So it's kind of like a process automation. It's certainly going to help reduce the time it takes to complete a task, and they're super handy to be able to have. But AI agents will proactively execute workflows. However, a custom GPT with an action, so an action might be that it is connected to another data source or another software platform that you use in the business. Might be HubSpot, might be Google Drive, might be M365. So it could extract data from a source, or maybe it's posting something to Slack or Teams or something else. That's when it kind of starts getting into a bit of the territory around agents, right? So that's kind of the different. It's a bit of a grey area, to be fair. I think generally people are kind of looking at agents as anything that's kind of using AI to automate or augment a particular task or process, right? But probably not using ChatGPT as a chat thread. That's not really an agent as such. If you've seen some of the previous things that we've been on, you might have seen an example where I've used Perplexity in the browser to go and do some shopping. So I've given a list of my grocery items, and I said, go to newworld.co.nz and create an online order for these items, and it takes over the browser and it goes and navigates. So it scrolls, it navigates around the website, it finds the different things, and so that is an agentic workflow, because it has to figure out how to navigate around the website, right? It's not something that's particularly learned. It's looking at the screen for the right buttons and where to click and where to do things, right? So OpenAI has just launched their new browser called Atlas, which will allow you to do similar things. You can connect in other data sources that you've got, and you can run agent kind of workflows that are all run in the browser, but are connected to other data and able to do things like update spreadsheets, or as we'll see in a little bit, right? So I hope that gives a little bit of clarity to get us started, right? So what tasks are agents really good at? Well, they're really good at multi-step stuff, right? So thinking about those tasks or processes that are repetitive, so things you have to do every day, right? Things like monitor my accounts receivable inbox and update Xero with the new invoices, right? So it's got to monitor your email account, and then it's got to find an email or identify an email that contains an invoice. So it's got to identify the right attachment, and it's not an image, it's actually probably a PDF or something like that. And then it's going to push that to Xero and create the records in Xero for payment. And it might even have a workflow in there, which is like, if it's a new supplier, then it's got to go through another process as well to verify their bank details and all of that kind of stuff that you do, which might need a human in the loop to manage that. It can do complex research and analysis, right? So it might be generate a competitor analysis report every month, factoring in economic conditions, consumer buyer trends, updates to products, pricing, proposition, and make a recommendation, right? So you want it to every month just go out and do some deep research into what all of your competitors are up to, what's happening in the market, and then, based on what it knows about your business as well, then provide some recommendations back in terms of how you might want to respond to any changes that your competitors are making along the way, right? So that's quite useful. We might want to think about different data sets that we have in the business, right? So might be at 9 a.m. every Monday, generate a report analyzing the customer data inquiries from Zendesk or your help desk and new sales in HubSpot to determine what percentage of those are in our ideal customer profile, right? So is our marketing attracting the inquiries or the interest from people that are best matched to buy our products or services? Or it might be, sentiment, or are there any particular problems? All that kind of stuff could be identified by connecting up different data sets, reasoning through some decision logic to be able to generate some insights there automatically, right? Three more. So we've got sales enablement. So research a company to determine if they are a good fit for our services, right? I think we're going to, we could certainly demo this. And so as a sales leader, you might get an inquiry that comes through on the phone or an email or a web form saying, hey Justin, we're interested in your services, and you can type in their website and go, what can you tell me about this business to help me prepare a proposal or outreach or respond to them to make sure that they're a good fit, or how we adjust my response in terms of how I'm going to sell to them based on what we can learn, right? We've got health and safety compliance. So generate a statement of work from a call transcript. We're going to demo this. Generate a statement of work from a call transcript and then review it to generate the health and safety standard operating procedures for that job, right? So there's actually two agents that are involved in that process. One has a skill to generate a statement of work, and the other has a skill to generate the standard operating procedures for health and safety related to that, right? So there's two agents there. And then the last one is shortlisting candidates, right? So how do we drop in the CVs and a job description that we're hiring for, and get an agent to shortlist candidates, identify which ones kind of most closely align with the skills and experiences that we're after, write an email inviting them to an interview, and identify two specific interview questions for each candidate, right? So again, the sort of process which is going to take you, a reasonable amount of time, and it's not, you'll be doing your own assessment around it, but this should help speed up the process, right? So pretty simple little task. Hopefully that gives you a few ideas. No doubt you'll all be thinking about, so could we create an agent to do this or that? And that's exactly what we want, right? And so if you're thinking that and you've got an idea that you want to bounce off me, flick me an email or send me a chat message through the Academy. More than happy to kind of go, yep, that sounds like something that an agent could do. Or come back with a few other suggestions, right? Just, we're here to help anytime. If you've got questions and things like that, you can message me through the Academy app pretty easily, right? So there are a ton of agent builder platforms. There's probably thousands, hundreds of them, and this market is growing really fast, right? The ability to connect your data sources into a platform that you can then push and pull, read and write to those systems using AI agents. So, even just using text prompts, but actually automating some of these tasks to complete, complex workflows. Really, really powerful, right? It's a way that we're starting to see businesses around the world, and lots of companies in New Zealand are starting to do this, where they're actually embedding these tools across their workforce to automate repetitive tasks, right? So Gumloop, and I've kind of tried to organize these, right? So Gumloop pretty relatively easy to do. Zapier as well, relatively easy to set up. AutoHive we're going to demo. Copilot Studio we're going to demo. Mind Studio, we've had Justine's done a little webinar with us on Mind Studio. So not like there is a bit of a learning curve with these. There is a learning curve with any kind of new tech, right? But once we kind of get into, Mind Studio and Aria, and certainly N8N, that learning curve and the technical capability you'll need to make them work increases, right? Arcanum with their product Numa out of Wellington as well is another fantastic platform to create and deploy agents across your workforce. OpenAI have come out with a new agent builder platform as well. Flowwise, we had a webinar on that earlier, and smartspace.ai, we'll talk about them a little bit. They are out of Tauranga. Laura asks, which platform have you used and had the best success with? I think the ones that I have had, so I've spent a lot of time in Mind Studio, in Aria, in SmartSpace, and also in Arcanum's Numa and AutoHive, and of course Copilot Studio. So a whole bunch of them, right? What have I had the best success in? I mean, for me and for what we're doing, certainly Arcanum, AutoHive, and Copilot would probably be the three which I'm using personally the most. So it just kind of depends on what connectors you need in. So what data sources, which could be API feeds, it could be connecting them into other software that you use around the business, right? It could be Trello, Zendesk, HubSpot, Salesforce, Xero, Myob, and so it's finding a platform that is, I guess, easy enough for matches your technical capability of the people that are going to be managing it, has the right connectors, and is deployable, right? One of the other benefits with some of these tools like Arcanum and AutoHive, essentially, is that your data and all of the queries and all the content that you're building are in that tenancy, right? So then none of that stuff has been used to train a model. It's all been passed by hashed APIs. So AutoHive doesn't know what you're doing, and none of the it's not been passed to train any models, right? So and the other benefit with these tools are they all have multiple models. So some models will be, better suited to the particular task that you want to do. Different models have, cost a different amount of tokens, if you like, to process that information and to complete that task. So you might get a higher, a more in-depth, accurate, detailed response from a particular model, but it's going to cost you more every time you run it, right? So there's just these different balances in there depending on the volume of inquiry, right? So Julian, yes. So the whole query around data security and those sorts of things is incredibly important to us all, right? One of the good things about Copilot or ChatGPT is that you've got web search, right? So you can actually say, I'm looking at using Gumloop, MindStudio, or Flowise. Can you go and find their terms of service and their data privacy policy, and tell me how they use or don't use any of the data that we're uploading into their system? And they'll help you navigate through that, right? But certainly, the ones that I use the most, I mean, Copilot, of course, is sitting within your tenancy. So it's all wrapped into your Microsoft 365 terms and conditions. AutoHive is within your tenancy. Arcanum is within your tenancy, right? So Arcanum is built on AWS. And so you've got all of the data security layers and provisions with AWS with them. And AutoHive is similar. It's within the tenancy, right? So it's not locked down. None of that information that you upload or create or do is being shared with any of these any large language models. It's not public. It's only for the people that have access to your account, right? But it's always useful, and as part of your provisioning, you should be doing your own assessment based on your company guidelines around tool selection, right? Okay, let's keep going. So deploying agents. I've got the heater on. It's getting a bit warm now. I'll turn that off. Right. So deploying agents at scale. Are there, question from Trevor. Are there platforms that are more aligned to Azure rather than AWS? Yes. So SmartSpace, which we'll talk about before, that's deployed on Microsoft Azure within your tenancy, right? It is slightly more complicated. You'll have to have some technical chops to be able to use it. But it is deployed on there as well, right? So that is SmartSpace is specifically deployed on Azure. Ben's provided a update for Julian's question on data security in those platforms as well. So thanks, Ben, for doing that. Right, keep going. Okay, deploying agents. Here's 5 things that I want you to keep on top of mind as you are doing this. It is always useful to start with a pilot, pick a couple of people in the business, find that you're going to run these with, right? So you're going to be creating an agent workflow, and you're going to have a few people that are going to be testing it out, pushing the boundaries, finding out when it breaks, what goes wrong, so that you can optimize it and iterate and improve on it constantly, right? With that, you're going to focus on a couple of tasks. So just pick one task at a time that you're going to be able to automate, so that you can get that working well. That builds trust, that builds confidence in the response accuracy and the performance of those sorts of things. So starting with a pilot, yep, we've got our team focus, identifying some tasks which are going to be, ideally suited. We're going to know the problem inside out, right? So what's the problem we're trying to solve? What's the process that we currently go through as humans to do this? And then how's that going to marry up into an AI tool? What data do we need to provide it access to? And how are we provisioning that data? Is it a connector? Are we uploading documents? What is that type of thing? We want to choose user-friendly platforms. Now, user-friendly, if you've got a technical person that's organizing your agents, then they may well be more than comfortable and confident to use a more complex platform. But if you're looking to deploy agents to a group of staff or a team, then you might want something that's easier for people to jump in and use, like Copilot, Arcana Numa, or AutoHive. Might be a couple on there, because they can have you can distribute access to people within a workspace, right? And then we're going to establish the guardrails and continual oversight, right? So what are the things that it's not allowed to do? When is there a human in the loop? What are our rules and guidelines around data into it? How do we monitor the performance of that agent to make sure that it's not degrading over time or anything like that, and that it's still performing accurately? And do we have a mechanism for staff to report any particular issues that they're seeing or experiencing, which might need the agent administrator to update or refine that particular workflow, right? Grant, this has all been recorded, so you can jump in and see it up as well. But there it is. Take a screenshot of it. Look, these are just a few suggestions of ones that I've got to know a little bit. Beginning of this year, I spent probably 100 hours inside a whole lot of different agent tools, playing around with them, understanding kind of what they could do, where they were at. That was a long time ago in terms of that deep research I did into them. And now, I've kind of landed on the ones that I'm using in particular, but I'm always keeping across, things that are coming up, right? So let's just take a quick look at what SmartSpace has helped business mentors create, right? So business mentors, been around for 30 plus years. We help business owners connect with mentors to provide advice and guidance and support with their business. So every month there's like 1,500, 2,000 meetings happening between mentors and mentees, right? And often previously those meetings might have been recorded or transcribed using a third-party tool, of which case there's less kind of control or use of that, the insights and the information that are captured during those meetings to be able to feed them back to the mentor and the mentee to aid them and assist them in that mentoring process, right? So what we're launching is AI Mentoring Assistant. So in our Mentor Hub platform, you'll be able to schedule a mentoring session, which will then invite the mentor and the mentee to a Teams call, which will transcribe that particular meeting and store it securely within Business Mentor's Azure environment, right? It's then picked up by SmartSpace and processed with their AI. So SmartSpace is deployed in our Azure tenancy, so nothing's leaving the leaving our tenancy, and it's processed with AI. We do a couple of things with it. We're generating a summary of that meeting and pushing it back to Mentor Hub so that the mentor and the mentee have it. We'll be able to generate some actions or next steps and those sorts of things. And we can clean that or clean up that that transcription so that the core knowledge sharing or insights out of it, excluding business names, products, people, all of that stuff, can be added to a knowledge graph. And that also means that the mentor and the mentee will be able to have a chat experience where they will be able to ask questions around what was discussed in previous meetings, you know, and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's so that's going to be building up this collective intelligence of knowledge that's been shared, this practical advice that's been shared in these sessions, so that over time, the AI assistant will become more and more useful, right? Be able to help you with more general questions, help you discover insights and information, so that it frees you up from some of those repetitive or common questions that might get asked, so that you and your mentor can actually work more effectively and efficiently to advance that business strategy for you, right? So that's what has been in the pipeline for a while, and it's starting to. We've been going through some testing, and people have been making use of it, and it'll start kind of rolling out gradually over the next sort of while. So yeah, been a good little practical initiative within that, right? We got half an hour or so. I know that's been a bit of a kind of a roller coaster in terms of an overview of different things. I really hope that your brain is whirring away thinking about how you might be able to apply some of these things into your business. So let's jump into Copilot. So we'll bring this over, and I will also bring up. So let's run through this, right? So this is Copilot Studio, where you can access the agents that are kind of pre-formatted inside it, right? So if we go to if we go into Copilot, you'll see that on the left-hand side, there are two agents which are pre-built, researcher and analyst, which you can use. And what am I doing? Oh yeah, right. So that those give you a good start, right? To play with, right? You can also jump into all agents, and you have got a marketplace in here where you'll be able to see lots of different agents that have been created already. And this marketplace is going to be evolving very soon, where you'll actually be able to publish agents that you create to make them publicly available for other people to utilize. or access other people's ones as well, right? So one of the agents that is quite useful as a starting point is just a website chat, right? So what we want to be able to do is in Microsoft Teams, right? We want to provide all of our employees that have a Teams license. They don't need to have a Copilot license, but I think they probably should. But they don't have to have a Copilot license to access this. So we're going to deploy an agent to Teams that allows anyone to be able to ask a question, to find information on our website, right? And those sorts of things. So I've just set it up in here. It's got access to our website and some resources and things like that. We haven't provided it with any skills. We've given it our knowledge base. And we've deployed it to Microsoft Copilot and Teams, right? So this is kind of where we can go in and create it. If we go, if we want to create a new agent, just to kind of show you what that looks like, you can actually just start by using a text prompt. Just explain what you want the agent to be able to do, and it will start building that for you. Or you can go into the manual configure tab and things like that as well. So that's a start. So I've got my AINZ web chat sitting in here. And if I jump into Teams, which is sitting here, then I've got my web chat. And we can ask it any questions around the NZ. So we can basically, this means that anyone will be able to quickly find some information that's stored on your website or contained within the knowledge base that you create, right? So you could use the same agent model method to give it so the knowledge would be a folder in SharePoint with a whole lot of documents. It might be all of your health and safety documents, or your employee onboarding documents, or compliance, or product information, or whatever that might be. And you could create an agent so that instead of people having to go and sift around SharePoint to find those documents, they can just chat with it in here, right? So it's got to go and access stuff, right? So this is pretty simple. Just kind of as a Q&A website agent, right? All right. So now let's have a look at our competitor analysis report generator, right? So let's what we can do with this is we have what we've done is we've created an agent in Copilot. Let's go home, and we've basically given the agent access to a strategy document for our business, and we have, where am I looking at? Teams. And we've given a list of competitors and things like that. So we can then just say, hey, look, can you run the report? And it's going to go and do all of this deep research in the background, right? So it's going to go to all the knowledge. It's going to go to all the competitors' websites that we've listed. It's going to do a web search around those competitors. It's going to find out a whole bunch of different information about them, so that we can then generate a report, make some recommendations and things like that. Does this require a paid Copilot license? yes, it does require a paid Copilot license. And you could, in theory, if you didn't want to make Copilot for M365 available to everyone, there's lots of benefits around why you would do that, right? Because then you get Copilot in Word and Excel and PowerPoint and Outlook and all the other Teams and all the other places, right? But you can create agents and then deploy them to Teams so that other people will be able to use them. So they don't have to have. I mean, they'll have free version of Copilot, right? Ben's adding in some insights in here as well, so he'll be able to correct me if things are changing all the time, right? We jump into Copilot and some of the features have been degraded or new things have been added or they've been moved around and all that kind of stuff, right? So, pretty quickly we've just generated a report around here with some key insights from competitors, right? So I think that's pretty useful. And of course you can customize any of you're going to give it the parameters that you want to get the insights from, right? So the last one I've got in here is and a Copilot is the prospect researcher, right? So let's have a look in here and say someone drop in your website URL. Someone drop in a website URL for your company, and we'll do a prospect researcher. Give me your company website. We'll run it through this. Okay. Thanks, Anthony. Okay. The prospect is okay. So hopefully it will fire. Here we go. I've got a few in here so you can kind of see what it's looking at. And again, this is, for us, right? This is determining potential fit for AI workshops and those sorts of things, right? So we solve media. Yep. It's given us a bit of AI around its readiness. Says qualification score medium. Is likely that you're already adopting AI in the business, so gives you a kind of an overview in there. I've done this relatively quickly, and of course you can keep building this out, right? So we'd go and find out, like, as a sales agent, what are the things that you'd really like to know about a company before you head in or you respond to that inquiry, right? So that you can go in, head first into some really robust discussions around, how you might add value into that particular customer. Okay, we're going to do that sales prospect researcher one again in AutoHive because I want to show the difference in how they work. So I'm going to grab another one in there. So let's do that first. So we'll get rid of this and we'll jump into AutoHive. So I've set up the same agent in AutoHive, right? So one of the great things about AutoHive is that you've got a prompt writer in here, right? So you can actually ask it, you can actually say, I want to create an agent that monitors our look and sends new invoices to 0. Right? And it will go through this process of asking you different questions to figure out how to write the prompt, write the instruction, right? Now, we can also take this, and so it's going to go through this whole process, right? We can also go into create an agent in here, and you have a an AI assistant on the side, right? So we can put in the same query in here, and it will actually start populating all the fields and adding in all the appropriate connectors into the agent to help you do it. Now, I don't have Xero connected into this platform, so it's not going to work. But it just gives you an idea in terms of the couple of the different ways that you can do it. You might actually want to, yeah. So there's usefulness with all of that, right? So leave anyway, get out of there. Let's go. I had Conway gave me Health HQ. So let's just say the prospect is right. So let's see what this, what AutoHive does in terms of generating a report around the potential for Health HQ to be a client for AI workshops and webinars and training. So in this case, it's going to the website, it's looking at LinkedIn, it's doing a whole bunch of different things. It's actually figured out that it's returning information from the wrong source. So now it's going back to have another look. So again, it's reasoning, it's doing some checking in the process around this, which I think is really interesting. It's found Conway, it's found your LinkedIn. Right, here we go. All right, so it's given me a bit more of an overview, and it's given me some insight in terms of some tools that you're using. Right, so quite useful to start building your knowledge about a company that requests some information from you, right? Pretty handy. Okay, I'm going to let that one roll. We're doing this one. We'll do candidate shortlist last. We'll go backwards. So we're doing a statement of work. Okay, so let's go. I've got a statement of work generator. So let's jump into the agent settings so you can see how we've built this. Now we've written this prompt has been, the prompt has been written by AutoHive, so it's all done in Markdown, and it's fairly lengthy, fairly detailed in terms of what it's looking for, and all that kind of stuff, right? We have the optional settings of choosing which model to use, and all that kind of stuff, right? So let's go cancel out of here, and let's grab a call transcript. So I've got one sitting over here that I prepared earlier. Oh, hang on. It's quite long. Okay, copy paste. Cool. So here we go. It's thought for half a second, and now it's producing a statement of work off the back of that call transcript, right? So what's really useful, right, is that during a briefing call, there's all that information is all captured, right? Now, someone pre-AI would have to be taking notes and all that kind of thing to be able to remember it. So it takes a whole bunch of time, right? Now, so we've generated this statement of work, right? So I've also created a standard operating procedure agent that's sitting over here that has also been written. I can, let's just go back to this chat here's history. Let's go to today's example, right? So now we can actually call create the sort of the safety standard operating procedures, and we can just actually call the agent in here to be able to run it in here. And so this will trigger that agent to run off the back of it as well. So we can have different agents set up for different tasks or skills that we might want to work together with different things, so that they can so we can now create a health and safety program for this particular project, right? Again, don't have to be jumping in and out of different agents. We can be working in the same agent or working in one agent, but then we can connect in other agents to complete specific tasks that they're trained on. Make sense? This is, super useful, right? Okay, so the last one, I am going to need some files. So let's go to workshop content. Okay, here we go. Right, so I've got, here's my HR candidate shortlister. We are almost bang on time, folk. So I've got 4 CV documents and a JD job description that we've got in here. And so we're asking it to shortlist some candidates for us based on these. I haven't stress tested this. I don't know if you could put in 500 and it would do it. Probably not. But you could certainly drop in probably 10 or 20. These are all synthetic. I've made up all of these JDs. They're not real people. It's not going to be able to find it on LinkedIn or anything like that, right? So it's been able to give us some strengths and weaknesses, some red flags, and all of that kind of stuff as well. So then we can go through and we can get them to write an email to invite those shortlisted candidates to an interview, and of course write some specific interview questions for us and things like that as well. So pretty useful, pretty helpful. I hope that is some good insights for you all. Drop in any questions that you've got. Conway, I'm copying and pasting your email address. Yes is the answer. I can do that. And right, so agents, they can be relatively simple. They can be really complex, right? And the trick is getting that balance right to giving the tools enough information without being too prescriptive, so that they have enough room to reason and think, and being able to review that performance on an ongoing basis, right? If you want to jump into a little bit more with AutoHive, we ran a webinar, last week now, that you'll be able to find. It's on the attender webinar list, and you'll have to look through the past events to find the recording in there. Well, that's look, we're just scratching the surface, right? But I really hope that that's given you a practical, useful overview some good comments in there from Ben Walker as well around this, and some really great questions. Jump into the Academy to find updated, new workshops and webinars that we're hosting. Sign your people up to get on our AI Ambassador program. That's a 2-hour workshop and a self-paced course to inform them on how to lead the practical and responsible use of AI within your organization. And get in touch if you want to run any workshops specifically for you and your team. We are well and truly taking bookings for the beginning of next year now, and still into December as well. So super keen to be working with you. Thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate having all of your time and your questions and everything. Have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you again on November the 12th for the 6th one of this series. See you later, team. Thanks heaps. Thanks, Chantel. Cheers, Bernie, Trevor. Thanks, Ben, for your comments today and support. Cheers, Julian. Nice one, Anthony. See you all soon.